Hey, what is up, everybody? Tuesday night, Ohm Field Advantage. Huge show tonight. I can't even stress how big a show this is. Aaron Biebert, a billion lives. Let's get this started.
Goes back to pass, he pumps. Now he fires over the middle, intercepted. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. It was intercepted.
Let's go on the move! Big everybody move! Big play move! Big everybody move! Big everybody move!
He gets away from pressure, fires to the end zone.
Microphone clean and my team all right. Running out the tunnel, game time, alright. In the middle of the field with our hands in the air. Pointing in the stands, let them know we in here. Freeze at the huddle and we all turn on. Jumping up and down, putting on in the dome. It's what we call home, so we in our own zone. We in our own zone, yeah, we in our own zone. Even if we take the show on the road. Beat everybody, big plays all day. Beat everybody, send them all home. Beat everybody, big hits, don't quit. Beat everybody, 1, win, 3, win, 5, win, 7, win, 9, win, 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 win. My titties are home. Let's shoot, boy, got 'em rockin' in the dome. Everybody screaming, who that, who that, who that, who that, who that, who that, who that? Got on my black, my gold, on another road to the Super Bowl. Everybody screaming, who that, who that, who that, who that, who that, who that? Running back from the hole, yeah, they coming like a tank. You better be careful, them right on that delay. Keep your eyes on their hands, wasn't looking for the big play. Three scanning coverage as he's reading through the deep. Caught him in the cover two and now the players going deep. It's a grown man game, so you better come to work. We all gladiators with our knuckles in the dirt. Leave it all on the field on any given Sunday. Catch me on the highlights, sports then on Monday. Do it for the love and it shows through the passion. It's all in the game, what our face on mad, flashing. Fans screaming, who that? Going for the two that. Yeah, we about to do that. So can I get a who that? People know we been that. First team to hold the Super Bowl and that's my dream. My days are home. Let's shoot, boy, got 'em rockin' in the dome. Everybody screaming, who that? 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 Got on my black, my gold, on another road to the Super Bowl. Everybody screaming, who that? 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 That's my team. My days are home. Let's shoot, boy, got 'em rockin' in the dome. Everybody screaming, who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? And I got on my black, my gold, on another road to the Super Bowl. Everybody screaming, who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that? Who that?
Hey. Welcome, everybody. Ohm Field Advantage. We're going to jump right into this. Everybody, welcome Aaron, director of A Billion Lives, to our show tonight. Aaron, my man, thank you for coming on tonight.
Glad to be here. Yeah, this is fun.
I forgot to tell you, I'm a diehard Who Dat Saints fan, brother, all the way. So
I guessed that by the end. I figured that had to be the case. Yeah. Well, I'm a Packer fan, so I guess we can, we can get along. But I mean, it's been tough lately, so I don't even want to talk too much about that.
Yeah,
I'll talk about the Saints.
my oldest son is a diehard Packer fan. I tried to raise him right. Somehow he still wandered over to the Packer territory.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that kind of history and success.
All
okay,
right.
all right, okay, stop.
So let's jump right into this. We'll talk a little bit more sports a little bit later, but first things first. As I told you, this movie is probably the one movie that I'm looking most forward to seeing this year. We're going to jump right into that. Why don't you first of all give us a little bit of background about where you're at as a filmmaker? What is your background?
Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of commercial and brand films and smaller, like short films for a lot of community-based things. About half of my work has been community-based type films and things helping like inner city schools and some of that kind of stuff. And the other half has been kind of with big corporate type stuff. So that's kind of how I pay the bills. And then the other side has been really how I make a difference. And we really see this film as being one of those difference maker type films. So that's kind of how I got into it. I I have some friends that were vapors that were telling me about kind of the struggle that was going on. And, when you look at it, it's such a huge topic. And when I found out that 1 billion people are going to die from smoking, and some of the best options for people to quit smoking are being harassed or banned all over the world, you start to say this is some injustice that really needs to be dealt with. And film is such a powerful medium. I mean, you look at what happened after Super Size Me and Food Inc. and Fed Up and some of these documentaries. You say, hey, this is a way to make a difference. And so that's kind of what this is this is a way I'm really excited to make a difference.
Awesome. And you bring up Super Size Me and some other documentaries, and right now, of course, the big rage is with Netflix and Making a Murderer and all that, and you see
that's my neighborhood, by the way.
Oh, wow, good for you.
Yeah, that's up in, well, that not there, but I mean, it's up in my neck of the woods here in Wisconsin,
yeah.
But not my neighborhood.
Well, what I was getting at is, I think one of the things that lends a lot of credence to this movie is the fact that you don't have a horse in this race. You're not a smoker.
Right.
You're not a vapor.
Right.
What I know you said that a lot of your friends were vapors. What was the one thing that made you say, "Wait a minute, somebody needs to do something here"?
Well, it's kind of a sad moment for me, but I had been telling some people that that's like antifreeze, right? And stupid things like that's got formaldehyde in it, and I was seeing the stuff in the news. I was an idiot. I didn't do my homework, and I started telling people things like that. And looking back at that, I realized how stupid that was and how harmful that is when people start telling people things when they don't know what they're talking about. And so once I realized that, I said, hey, we're being lied to, all of us, the public. I mean, a lot of people that don't like vaping don't even know what it is. And the public is being misled on a very systematic and a massive way, and it's really harmful to people who are trying to quit smoking. And so I felt like the truth needs to get out there. And so that's kind of the moment when I got kind of angry when I realized how stupid I was and how lied to I was.
So where did you launch this whole thing? What was your first steps? I mean, this is such a massive undertaking.
Right.
Even doing the research to be able to talk to you tonight and looking at the folks that you have talked to already for this movie. How did you even get started? Yeah.
Well, it all started with research. A lot of research, probably about 3 months of real hardcore digging to find out what's the deal. Like, we wanted to know what the truth was. We don't want to buy into the hype. We weren't necessarily trying to listen to what vapors had to say or not vapors. We just really wanted to find the truth. So we really went and dug into the science. We dug into some of the researchers out there, the public health folks on both sides, and really looked at what were they saying and why were they saying it. And that took about 3 months, and then we made that announcement video that you guys saw with all the faces and that Sing for the Sun song, that Hemispheres that we premiered for them. Mm-hmm. And that was really kind of the moment when it all began. Within a couple weeks, we hit the road. We're filming all over the U.S., in Illinois, Arizona, Nevada, California, Wisconsin, and we started that. We interviewed some of the folks that were involved early on in the history of vaping, and then we headed to Peru, where we were filming down there to kind of learn about the history of smoking, because that's kind of where smoking was discovered, in the Andes Mountains. And so we went down there to film the intro to the film and get a little bit of a backstory on that, and provide some beauty for the film as well. And then and then the rest, a lot of travel. We were on 4 continents, and some of the best experts in the whole world in this field.
Speaking of travel, let me bring up some of the pictures that you guys have from some of the things, and maybe you can talk a little bit about it. Now I know I'm going to pronounce this gentleman's name wrong, but is it Han Leek?
I believe he goes by a couple different names. I believe Han Leek is how a lot of people have said it. I know there's also Han Lee. The K is missing in some pronunciations. We filmed him after a long hunt. He was kind of a secretive type of guy, because for whatever reason, and we were looking for him all over the place. What was that? Elusive. Yeah, he's very elusive, and hadn't done many interviews, if any. And
this is a gentleman who actually invented the e-cigarette.
Right. Yeah, he's the basically the inventor of the modern e-cigarette, and it was a real honor to get to sit down and talk to him, and hear kind of his story of why he started it. And it's funny because that's such a drastic contrast to what a lot of folks, say. They say it's like big tobacco and was created by big tobacco, but in reality, it was created to get away from big tobacco. So it was kind of interesting to see. That was eye-opening.
Okay. Moving on here, you had mentioned you guys went to the Andes, and tell us a little bit about what you encountered there, what that was like.
Yeah. Well, when we were down there, we actually got to. It's interesting because the Incan people are the ones that made Peru famous. That's where the Incan Empire was, and it's interesting because the Incan people never went away. They're still there to this day, and they still have their traditions, and they still are able to talk about their history. And they talk about tobacco, and it's interesting. One of the most interesting things that I heard from them was they're talking about tobacco and how they do harvest it. It grows wild in the jungles, and that some of the when you smoke regular tobacco, that grows right there. That it's a little bit different than these processed cigarettes, and how it does seem that there must be some sort of additives to cigarettes or whatnot. But it was kind of interesting just to kind of get their perspective on that, and hear the history of it. It used to be more of a ceremonial thing than anything.
All right. So just a couple of other things, like as Aaron pointed out, they definitely traveled the world. This here's Mexico City, Dublin.
Yep.
You guys went to Vape Fest in Dublin?
Yeah, they were supporters. We didn't actually go to the event, but they were big supporters of it, and actually had been promoting the film over there.
Okay. And as you pointed out, you guys were in Peru.
Yep, that's Lima.
This picture I found kind of interesting. It was listed as Leicester, and it said it had a unique stop smoking center.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the first places in the world where we found some folks that were brave enough to actually be encouraging and teaching people about vaping, instead of just giving them the traditional pharmaceutical stop smoking related stuff. They were actually helping people if they wanted to choose to do vaping to quit, and had a really good time there with them, and they're pioneers. In the UK now, that's all completely starting to switch, where these folks in Leicester were actually pioneers in that, and in some ways their whole country is starting to follow suit. So it's pretty cool to see. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. You went into a e-liquid manufacturer.
Yeah, top secret. Got a chance to film some of the machines that make it, and kind of observe how it's being made, and the safety practices that seem to be fairly industry standard.
Okay. And of course, just so we can point it out, everybody had to. You suffered a lot. Had to go get your shots and all, so you could travel.
It was real tough.
So out of all the places that you guys got to travel to, and the hundreds and thousands of people you guys encountered, where out of all those places, what place do you think impressed you the most as far as where they stand with vaping?
Yeah, well, probably in my mind, the most progressive, intelligent approach from the public officials would probably be in the United Kingdom, where you see that they've done some research. They've actually done honest research and took an honest look at things without letting industries get in the way. And you see that they're actually being smart about allowing smokers to quit using the newest technology, this vaping technology, versus telling them they got to chew some gum, which the failure rate on that is in the 90s, 90% plus. And so they've embraced new technology. I think that's great. It's that's probably one place that for sure stuck out to me. Yeah.
Awesome. Just to let everybody know in the room, we are definitely going to take some questions from the audience, but we just want to give Aaron a little bit of time here to give some background on the movie and possibly answer your question. So,
Right.
but we will definitely.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to answer your question. So.
Yeah, we'll definitely take some questions from everybody. You met opposition almost right out of the gate, and one of the very first things was, boom, censored right off the bat from Facebook. This is, I know people can't read it here, but if they go on to the A Billion Lives Facebook page, they'll see it, where Facebook actually nailed you guys and said that they were pulling your Facebook page down because you guys were promoting tobacco. Which I find very ironic. So how did you guys get around that?
Well, we didn't get around it. You guys did. And there was a massive petition. People were making videos. People were protesting this, changing their profile pictures on Facebook to A Billion Lives. I mean, I think we had something like 100,000 people had been reacting with the page. I think it had impressions of like 100-some thousand people. It was just crazy. And ultimately what happened is someone from Facebook did reach out to us and agreed to change the way that they were doing that and allow us to continue advertising the film and promoting it. And so that was a major victory and something that I was really excited for the community, because obviously there's been a lot of loss and a lot of things where, it feels kind of like the vaping community is losing their battle for the truth and losing their ability to do what will help save their lives and their mind. And this was kind of a major victory for them in that way, because we see this with eBay and Google and some of these other companies are not being supportive. And at some point I'd like to help deal with that situation too. At some point, if we can get this film big enough, I think that's going to be great. I think that's going to be important to do.
Awesome. So altogether, how many hours of footage do you think you guys have shot? I mean, it's kind of
it's in the hundreds. It's in the hundreds for sure. Yeah, we've got hundreds of hours of footage, and it's been a lot to go through. I mean, we're shooting for a film that's around 90 to 100 minutes long. Kind of the standard feature-length documentary, and so there's a lot of cutting that's had to go on, and it's been tough, and a lot of rearranging. I think we're on like version 7 now or something like that. So.
Now the plans for the release of this, I know early spring was what I had heard. Is that still?
Pretty much everything we've said from day one is on track. We are still trying to figure out the premiere, the actual premiere where it'll first come out. We're planning for having it in theaters mid-year, and that a lot of that stuff really depends on how much the community is behind the film, because obviously if you're a company that has 100 theaters, name any of the local theater chains that you guys are going to, at home, those guys make their decisions based on how many tickets do they think they can sell, and so in a lot of ways. There's a lot of vapors, and I think that we have a real good shot of getting into every market, but we're going to have to work at that. Right now we're definitely going to be in some of the bigger markets, having a theater run in some of those markets, but we're still waiting to see on some of that stuff. We're waiting. Any day we'll have a lot more information on that. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, a lot of craziness, a lot of behind the scenes people working against us, so it's been kind of frustrating, but certainly we're well on our way, and we're very confident. It's just how big are we going to be, but that's going to be just like the Facebook thing. That's going to be up to the vaping community to decide how many theaters we're in, based on how big of a fan base that develops from this.
In light of how big Making a Murderer was, any thoughts of taking it to Netflix, or?
Well, we want it to be on Netflix, but Netflix has certain things in many ways that they want to make sure that there's a huge fan base as well for it. And vaping's such an interesting topic where, I'd say most of the public, at least in the United States, thinks vaping is some sort of a joke. And so a lot of times I think the reaction we get is a lot of people aren't really sure that we're serious about it, because it seems like some of the prior films that have come through have either not finished or have been whatever. We do get a little bit of that, so we're spending extra time trying to counteract some of that stuff, and Obviously, the news talking about vaping being dangerous. Here's a film that talks about the facts about it and has doctors talking about vaping. And, it's confusing to people when they're trying to decide whether this film should be something the public sees or not. But that's really the unfortunate thing about the world we live in, is that really big businesses get to control so much, whether they're big pharma or big tobacco or even the government. It's really hard to be the little guy, and right now we're kind of the little guy. But we have a lot of friends, so that's helpful.
Okay. You had mentioned about some of the opposition. How much opposition did you face in finding people to interview? Like, I'm sure when you set out, there were certain people that you definitely wanted to sit down with, whether they be pro or con in the vape. How much opposition did you face with that? Was it an open door? Hey, come on in, we'll tell you our side, or did you have to, pretty much fight for things?
Right. Well, all the big pharmaceutical companies said no right off the bat. They weren't interested in talking about it, and I guess that's to be expected. And we did then go after a lot of the public health folks. Wanted to interview them. Stanton Glantz was someone that I reached out to. He actually did say yes. I don't know if you guys saw the Facebook post on that.
That was actually going to be my next question, because I did see that he said he would be willing to sit down.
Right. He said, let's do this. And we're still trying to set up a date with him. So I don't know. It seems like I think he's, I don't know. He's just trying to run out the clock, I think. I'm not sure exactly. But most of the folks have said no. We reached out to literally just about every single person that could have something to say about vaping that was in a higher level, type of thinking or research with it. And of course, we missed some too, I'm sure. I mean, we had no understanding of the vaping world, to be honest. So, I mean, I'm sure there's some people we missed. But we did end up meeting quite a few people in many countries. I think about 10 different countries, folks we did meet with. Doctors, scientists, lawyers, like public health related folks. And it does seem like some of the anti-vaping folks did not want to meet. And I usually, when a non-vaping filmmaker wants to just interview about a topic, usually would be willing to sit down and give your side of the story. But it does seem like they must have something shady going on, because they're not interested in talking. So, and I'm a pretty easy guy to work with. So if they're not saying yes to me, then that usually means there's something going on there. So that actually makes me dig even harder. And some of those lack of interviews actually turned up quite a bit of stuff, because when you say no to me, you don't want to interview, then I go and I find other interviews you've done on the internet, and we find ways to use that. So one way or the other, a lot of people are going to be represented in this film. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Okay. I do want to address something, because I've seen it come up in the room a couple times now.
Okay.
We had talked about this before we went on air, about a couple movies that were being funded courtesy of a lot of vapors. Quite a few of them might be in this room, actually, that never panned out. Why don't you give us a background of where your funding comes from and your affiliation with any of those?
Right. Well, coming into this, one of the things you always do is it's not fun to make a documentary if someone else is in the process of making one and it's going to get done first. Because there's only room for so many documentaries. I mean, people, the public, they're not going to want to see a vaping documentary every month. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Nobody will watch it, and ultimately we felt like it wouldn't help. So we did a lot of research early on in that first 3 months to find out what else is going on. This topic seems really huge. 1 billion people are going to die this century from smoking. I mean, what the heck? And vaping is a technology that a lot of people think could help. So we assumed there'd be at least 2 or 3 documentaries going on, and we did find some websites for some of them that were crowdfunded. It looked like they had kind of died off, and that they had kind of gone away. And so we felt like, for some odd reason, this was an undocumented topic. And I mean, as far as like movies go, certainly there's plenty of blog articles, news articles, TV shows, and whatnot. But we felt like it was pretty open. But yeah, there was a lot of that going on, where we saw some documentaries, some really decent things on YouTube that had come up, short things, but nothing big, nothing for theaters. And so we felt pretty confident about that. As soon as we began, that was something that a lot of people were wondering about, like, are you going to ask us for money? And I work for Attention Air Media. That's a production company that makes things like this, films, commercials, other things like that. And so this is actually a privately funded privately funded film that has taken no money from any outside groups whatsoever. And so, that was an uphill battle at first because a lot of people kept saying, like, what the heck, are you going to ask us for money? Here we go again, round 4. I hear all of it over and over again, people asking about that. But the film at this point is pretty much done. So don't worry, we're not asking for any money, any donations. Obviously, we'd like you guys to buy the movie and, come see the movie in theaters if it comes to town by you. And certainly a lot of people have chosen to buy shirts to support the film and whatnot. But overall, we're definitely not trying to do any sort of big fundraising campaign. This film is basically done being made now. And, at this point, all that's left to do really is promote the film and get it out there. So, so no worries on that. If you're wondering, you don't have to worry. The film.
Well, I like I said, I'm sure there's at least a couple people in this room that actually did, donate to some of those crowdfundings.
Right.
Vapors, like I said, Vapors are a collective that really come together to support a cause. And some people feel burnt by that. So it's I think the fact
I feel like it's terrible. You take money from someone to make a film, you got to make it.
Absolutely, and I think again, the fact that you're not a smoker, you're not a vapor, and you didn't take money from anybody to produce this, lends credence to the fact that you were impartial coming into this. Now, that being
I don't
said,
know if I'm impartial anymore, though. I got to be honest.
That's what I was gonna say. That being said, I'm sure you've after investigating all this, have made your judgment, and let's come to that now. After all the research that you've done, all the interviews that you've done, the thousands of people that you have talked to, your bottom line opinion on vaping is?
Yeah, I think if you're a smoker and you're having a hard time quitting through through just quitting, which would be most smokers. Vaping is a technology that you got to check out because it's drastically more healthy and less expensive for you. And of course, there's some people that could probably do things with the technology that would be obviously less or more healthy than some kinds of vaping. But there's pretty much no way you could vape in any sort of fashion that would be more harmful than smoking. And so when you look at that, folks that are trending towards being lifelong smokers, it's absolutely foolish and ridiculous not to encourage them to try out the technology and be supportive of that. These people that like to make jokes about vaping are really idiots. I mean, they're ignorant. They need to do their research, and they need to stop hurting people who are trying to quit smoking because it's dangerous. And some people choose to do it. I personally don't mind if people want to smoke, but if you're trying to quit, let's respect that. And let's give you every shot that you want to take at it. So that's kind of my feeling on vaping.
When any of these folks, whether they be pro or con, do a research or whatever, they're focused on one area. I would say that you are probably one of the utmost authorities on vaping because you have ventured out into every avenue possible. You've researched it all. Is there anything that you have seen or any that gives you cause for concern for the future for vapors as far as any kind of health effects, or do you?
No, I think that it's pretty much settled that the technology, when used in a fairly normal fashion, is quite a bit. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to use the word safe just because water is not safe. I know lots of people that die from drowning in water. So safe, obviously isn't really the word, but safer for sure, 100%. I mean, not 100%, but quite a bit, obviously safer. I do wonder, if folks are vaping at super high voltages. I don't even know what that means. I really don't know. But I mean, if you're burning the liquid, it's possible that there could be less safe than regular vaping. I don't even know what regular vaping means, but that's probably honestly the only thing that I would even wonder about. But compared to smoking, nothing vapors are doing is even remotely like smoking. So, and I don't foresee any issues with that. And I've talked to a lot of doctors about it, and again, they believe the main reason why smoking tobacco is so harmful is because of the burning. So as long as it's vaporizing and it's not burning, I think vapors should be pretty confident in that. But that's just what I've seen.
Okay. Let's get into. Recently, you were at the OMB. I'm gonna bring up a couple of pictures here. Why don't you talk to us about how that went for you?
Yeah. Well, it was pretty depressing, honestly. I mean, I feel like I had a pretty good message for them, and there was folks there that were represented from the White House Office of Management and Budget, the FDA, and then also the Small Business Administration. So 3 different divisions of the government, 3 different parts of the government were all there and were represented. And honestly, it did feel like there was a whole lot of I don't know what you want to say, reception for it. The Small Business Administration is certainly receptive, and they were very helpful. But the the FDA and the OMB really make me wonder if they're there to serve us or if they're there to get an agenda pushed through. So yeah, it was kind of depressing. I might have gone a little bit overly strong with some of my feelings right after that. We don't know yet what happened with that. I think that's still, although that literally will be any day, unless it's already come out. I mean, I guess I've been running around like a crazy man the last couple of days, but yeah, that could be any day we'll be finding out about that. So I mean, maybe I'll be wrong, and maybe I'll be celebrating how effective my speech was. I mean, obviously other people as well. Many people went there, but right now I'm kind of, I got this bad feeling in my stomach.
I got to read your presentation to the OMB. It's actually, for those folks that want to see it, brand new magazine out, The Vaping Advocate. Aaron is featured in there with his passionate plea to the OMB, and you guys can go check that out. Wendy dropped the links there. One of the things that really struck me, I've been in the medical field for 25 years. And okay. I did not even know this. One of the things that really struck me, you made a beautiful correlation between the anti-vaping movement and the anti-condom movement. And I will bring up this picture here because this is I'm blown away by this. That there was actually a prophylactic soap that was supposed to prevent against syphilis and gonorrhea, and that is what the government at the time chose to go with instead of condoms. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the correlation you made there with that?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, and condoms are touchy. I get that. I don't personally know if I think children should be given condoms. I don't know. I don't know. That's a whole nother issue. But people, adults, certainly should have the ability, to use birth control or protection or whatever. I think that issue has been kind of settled for many years now. But back in the day, that was something where the public health advocates had actually been pushing this soap instead of using condoms, and consequently, a lot of people were having issues, STDs and all kinds of things, unplanned pregnancies and many other things. In this case, they had told the soldiers that were in Europe that they could just use this soap to wash themselves, and I believe it was hundreds of thousands of soldiers ended up with STDs, and it's just ridiculous. Okay, I mean, whether you're for or against sex with prostitutes, I mean, that's essentially what we're talking about here. That doesn't, you can't ignore the fact that it was happening, and you need to give these people what helped them, and instead they just took a real dogmatic religious approach to it, and essentially that's what it is. It's a religious approach, and the same thing is being done with vaping, and I don't mean religious as far as Christian. I am by no means anti-religion at all, but when you believe in something so strongly, even though there's evidence showing you that it's wrong, that's certainly a religious approach. It's just your religion is to your tradition of stopping smoking through pharmaceutical means or whatever, and it's the same sort of thing. It's just ignoring evidence, and it's basically harming people because of that. So, long story short, if you have evidence and you have research and you have common sense, and you see that pointing towards something, you got to go with it. And we haven't been seeing that. We didn't see that back in World War I, and it's the same sort of thing.
Now, obviously, I'm blown away. I'm blown away by the fact that their solution was the soap that was 1/3 mercury.
Mercury, right.
So
Right.
if the syphilis didn't get you, the mercury sure was.
Right. Well, and that's the same thing telling smokers, like, oh, hey, go take this drug that leads some people to suicide. I mean, it's, that's essentially what they're telling smokers all over the world is, well, there's this drug that can help you stop, but you might kill yourself over it.
You might get so depressed that check out.
I mean, are you joking? Like, are we kidding here? That's like washing your private parts with mercury. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, there's a better way, and there's a better way now, and there's a better way then, and obviously now people have come to grips with the truth, and I think that that's the future. The truth, all of the stuff we're talking about now, and I hope my film as well will be a part of this. That the future, they will know the truth, and we hope that we're kind of one of the first big bells of warning, letting people know that there is people being lied to and people are being hurt because of it.
On that note, yeah, I fully expect this movie to do that, and in light of that, I fully expect people to look to you as a champion for vaping, and you actually already are getting some of that reaction. We'll just go through a couple pictures here. We're not the only people that have interviewed you. In fact, we're probably the smallest people that have interviewed you.
Come on.
But I know that you worldwide have been interviewed now in regards to this movie coming out. Just not too long ago, big demonstration in Canada, 1 Billion Lives T-shirts being seen all over the place there. This has to make you feel absolutely amazing. In fact, are you seeing a lot of people coming to you and telling you their stories and thanking you? And
it's been overwhelming, to be honest. I mean, we didn't realize how emotional of a topic this would be going in, and seeing these letters, a lot of people early on, even mothers, telling me, dear Aaron, my son is just started vaping and actually quit his job to work in a vape shop. I think this sounds stupid, and I'm really concerned that he's hurting himself. I'm looking forward to seeing your film, to settle this. And I think how difficult this is when the public's being lied to about the truth. Like, of course, mothers care about their sons, and I'm sure this is happening all over the world where people are doing things to help themselves and their family are not being supportive. And so I do see a lot of mail like this. I wish they were all as happy as that particular message. That was something that was really important to me to see, because if I can help save even one person's life, I mean, that would be a victory in itself. Obviously, we've put a lot of time and effort into this, so I'd love to see it be more like thousands or millions, or maybe it won't be 1 billion most likely, just because the century's already begun. But if we could get millions of people, if we could help get them the opportunity to save their own life, that'd be a real honor, and I think that would be a really important movement that I think we're all basically trying to do right now.
Absolutely. And then just recently, this is also got to kind of give you a little bit of a good feeling. People. Vapors are very passionate people, and they're going to take this movie seriously. The effect that this movie could have on just the general public and getting the conversation started of, wait a minute, maybe this is a good thing, is more than worth the effort of putting this movie together. And vapors being passionate people, does not surprise me that somebody would go out and get this tattoo, and post on your page.
Shannon is amazing. I can't believe that she did that. I still think it's crazy considering she hasn't seen the film yet. But in some ways, this has become more than a film. It's definitely become a movement at this point. Where we're trying to save, or at least give 1 billion people the option of saving their life. It's not about saving people. People don't need saving. What they need is options and the truth. People can save themselves. With the right technology, I really believe that. But right now, they don't have the truth, and they don't have in some cases, access to the technology. So it's really great to see that movement. I see that there's some other people now that are planning out their tattoos as well. I think you're all crazy, but you have all my love and respect, because it's a big thing, and it means the world to me. I'm not going to lie. I certainly don't want to encourage people necessarily to do that unless they really want to, but it does mean a lot.
Awesome. Why don't we take a couple questions from the room here real quick, and we'll open it up for people to ask some things. I know some folks have said hi that I'm sure you didn't see there earlier.
Hello. I'm not actually watching the chat too much just because I'm really trying to pay attention. But I see a lot of really good convo going on over there, and I thank everyone for sharing the links and all that stuff. It means a lot. Like I said, if we're going to make this film go big, we need everyone's support. So I appreciate all of you guys helping with that.
So let's start out with some of the first questions. Has an official release date been set yet?
Not yet. Not an official release. We're still waiting on the big day, but it will be most likely early spring, and it will be in theaters mid-year. That's pretty much still been our line, and we're sticking to it. But spring is coming, so yes. And we are working on some stuff. We'll have announcements soon. We'll be sending an email out in the near future with all kinds of information. So if you haven't signed up yet on abillionlives.com, pretty much only using email to share the big information, just because we think that we can say more, and we can also keep it somewhat private, from some of this stuff, just because we are facing a lot of opposition, and we are cleaning out people on that mailing list that we don't know or like. So email would be good if you guys could join that. We don't send emails out maybe once every month or so. But yeah, we'll be sending out something, so stay tuned. You heard it here first.
Somebody asked if there's any plans on releasing a second trailer.
Yeah, there will be a theatrical trailer. What you guys saw, that was just a teaser. And the first thing was just an announcement video. We haven't put out any trailers technically, any official trailers. These are just teasers, just to give people kind of an idea of like the tone and some of the type of work that we were doing. Before it goes to theaters, it will have a full theatrical trailer that you guys will all be able to enjoy, and some of that stuff's already in the works. So yeah.
Got a question here. Does this movie definitively show that the health organizations and our government are lying about vaping? Give us some examples of how you are showing that in the movie, if you could.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do go into specifically some of the government folks. I mean, obviously government and people. I mean, this is a very big group of people. I mean, if you look at people that are in government, I mean, it's like millions of people around the world. I mean, if you think about that. In the United States, we do talk about conflicts of interest and how some lawmakers are taking money from big pharma, and at the same time that they're actively campaigning against vaping. So we are pretty clear about that, and we certainly we dedicate a whole period of time to talking about those folks and what they're doing and why that's not okay. Of course, not everybody in government is lying, and of course some folks are actually trying to help. When I was in Washington, D.C., I met with some senators and Congress people and their staff, and some of those folks have decided to help. So I definitely do not believe that everyone in government is crooked, but there are some, and we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna explain why what's going on right now is not okay, and how it needs to be fixed. So yes, we're gonna be showing that people are lying for sure, and it's gonna be kind of fun, I think.
Okay. Now, I know you said that you had a lot of the big farm definitely turned down your invitations to speak.
Yeah, that was pretty quick.
How about tobacco? Were you able to get many folks from that avenue?
Well, Big Tobacco, initially it's just funny because some people actually thought the film was coming from Big Tobacco or something early on. I don't know why they would think that when we have a film called A Billion Lives and we say that 1 billion people are going to die from smoking. Obviously, we're not have any relation to Big Tobacco. They would never want to make a movie about that, ever. And so we actually thought, maybe somewhat naively, that Big Tobacco, everybody already understood that these guys have a lot of money and a lot of interest in seeing people continue to smoke, and that they are in some ways doing something kind of wrong. I mean, they're selling something they know will kill people, and in some cases in the past, at least, they've made advertisements to the contrary of that. We kind of thought that whole issue was settled. No one likes Big Tobacco. They're kind of, whatever. And so we didn't initially talk much about that. that has changed. I don't know that we really interviewed anyone from Big Tobacco because we're not really sure what they'd have to say about the topic, other than that would be of help, would be of any sort of use. So we haven't. I have talked to many folks from Big Tobacco actually, just run into them at certain events and whatnot, and some of them seem to pretend to be supportive. Others really don't care to talk about it, but none of them really have anything really that important to say. Although, yeah, at some point, I think I have another film in the works here after this one that will probably dive into a little bit more of that kind of stuff. But it gets kind of tricky when you have these big companies involved. It's hard to even really know what they're thinking, and interviewing them we didn't feel would be super useful. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
But I think everyone kind of knows how evil they've been in the past, so I guess that's why we didn't really reach out to them too much.
Okay.
But the film does take a significant amount of time to talk about Big Tobacco, so no one will be disappointed.
I'm going to let Wendy jump in here and take the room's questions here for a second, but there is one here that I thought was really good that I wanted to jump on. You guys did a call to action a while ago for different people's stories. Was there any particular story that you can think of that, touched you or stuck with you or ran?
Yeah. Well, one of them that really stuck with me, and you'll find her story in the film, where she started smoking when she was 12 years old, and her and her girlfriends would go sneak into the treehouse and smoke a whole pack of cigarettes, and 20 years later she was still smoking and wanted to quit because she has children now, and that kind of story always gets me because the way that a lot of people, and I never, and I don't want to say unfortunately, but I never did start smoking, so I don't understand how hard it is to quit. And the more stories I hear, the more I realize this is really, in some ways, was a trap, a social trap where people were smoking, and it was something that people were doing socially, but unfortunately at some point they found themselves in quicksand and couldn't get out. That stuff always gets me because I don't believe that we should watch trapped people stay trapped. I don't think that's fair. That's like watching a drowning person and just looking at them while they drown. And so that stuff always gets me real strong. And so that story's in there. Obviously there's some other stories of folks that really intelligent folks that were smokers and decided to quit, and they use this technology, and the way that they talk about their own life and how it's changed. This stuff's really powerful.
Wendy?
Well, there's a question that's still in chat scrolling, and I think they asked it earlier. Was there anything that you found out that was really surprising, and would it surprise vapors to hear it?
Gee, well, vapors are some of the most educated people on this topic that I've ever met. We have interviewed some folks that are behind the scenes in some ways, and I think some of that stuff will definitely surprise vapors. Specifically, I don't really want to get into it because I don't want to ruin the surprise, and I don't want to. I also don't think all of it will be surprising to all of you guys. You're pretty smart folks, so I don't know. The public, for sure. The public's going to be shocked. They're going to be blown away by this. I think you vapors, you guys are just too smart to be fooled by stupid stuff, and I think you guys are. I don't know. I don't want to say too much on that.
Somebody did ask when Jay showed the photo of the gentleman who created the first electronic cigarette. Did you talk to him at all about how it has evolved since it began? What were his thoughts on that, if you're allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, well, I could talk about that. We didn't get into that a whole lot just because he invented a very early type of e-cigarette vaping device, and I think he's still involved with some of that kind of business, and it's still pretty I'd say primitive technology, so to speak. I don't want to downplay it, but it's not. I watch some of the most success that people have had when I talk to them is that they're using some of the newer age technology that maybe makes it a little bit easier to do and maybe a little bit more like smoking, which helps them get off of smoking. And so we didn't talk about the new stuff. I didn't think that'd be fair because it's not the kind of stuff that he's involved with, and so I didn't talk to him about it. No.
There are some folks already talking about whether or not you'll have enough material to develop a second film.
Oh yeah, we've got enough for like 5 films, but there won't be. I can tell you now, there won't be 5 films on this. But I can tell you that if this one goes well, there will definitely be a second film that will have a good chunk of it related to vaping, and it will also really tackle some of the big corporate type issues that I've been watching happen here during making this film. So vaping will be in the second film as well if we end up making it.
Were you able to interview anybody at the FDA?
Numerous times I met several people from the FDA. We went to the FDA. I saw the head of the tobacco division at the FDA talk numerous times. I talked to him in person, and of course they blew me off and asked me. Well, first they asked me if we were for or against vaping, and then said no. So yeah, I mean it's shady. At the end of the day, though, I don't really care because their position's really well documented, and they have a major conflict of interest over there, and that's going to be in the film. So of course they didn't want to be in the film. Why would they want to be in it? They're gonna look bad.
I keep jumping in here over Wendy, but
that's perfectly okay.
I know you as a filmmaker, your goal is to bring this to theaters, to recoup some of the funding that you put into this and all that, and I totally get that. Is there any plans though in the future, because we as a vaping community would love this to be able to be viewed by the entire world, that anybody that wanted to jump online and watch it, or like somebody said on the Discovery Channel, any plans in the future after this has been released and what have you, to take it to a public forum where anybody can access it?
Yeah, I don't know on that. I mean, our goal is to work with a distributor who will help get it into theaters and all over the world through the typical movie ways of doing things. I doubt once those people get involved that they're going to want to have the movie that they invested in just sitting out there for free. I think that I'm not going to say no. Personally, I'd love it just to be out there, but there's no way that we're going to get the marketing money that's needed to get this all over the world if we do that. I mean, because
understood.
Even just making the film's expensive, but marketing it is even more expensive. And there's no way that they're going to want to spend millions of dollars to market this to the general public if they don't get a way to recoup their money. I do think they'll be in things like Netflix. We are planning on having it available for anybody to watch throughout the world, but there will probably be some sort of on-demand cost, a couple bucks or something like that. So, I mean, of course that's still something, but if people really want to watch it, I don't know that the cost will be anything that they can't afford. I mean, I don't know, of course, but...
Somebody asked if the film is made in a way that non-vapors will be able to understand and relate to what you're trying to convey.
Yeah, the film is only for the public. It's not even for vapors, as weird as that sounds. I mean, we didn't make it for vapors. We made it for the public. So it's only geared towards the public. So far, the focus groups that we've had and the folks that we've had screen this film are only non-vapors, because we aren't making it for vapors. Vapors already know, like I said, they're smart enough. They know what's going on. A lot of them, especially everyone in this chat, knows exactly what's going on. So we aren't trying to educate you guys on what's going on. You already know. This is for the public. There's a lot of very interesting, fun things in the film. So I say fun loosely. Some of it will be more like shocking, but it will be very interesting, and I'm very confident that the public will be interested in it, because we go all the way back to the beginning of smoking. So we explain why there will be 1.6 billion people smoking when the rest of the world thought smoking is starting to go down. It's actually going up. So I think people will be interested in this, and nobody likes scandalous corruption. I mean, when we're making a film about corruption, of course the public's going to be interested in that.
I'll take this question because I actually wanted to ask this earlier. We're seeing more and more celebrity types that are vaping. Leonardo DiCaprio, Katherine Heigl, the guitarist from. Wow. I do this once a show, man, where I just totally... Yeah, Dave Navarro. He had a really nice interview that promoted smoking. Did you guys reach out to any celebrity types?
We did reach out to folks early on. We didn't get any response. Obviously, besides Dave, for the most part, and Katherine Heigl, her whole thing was pretty early on in the thing. I mean, this has become a very divisive deal, and most of the public is against vaping. This is really clearly, everywhere I go, people think we're ridiculous and we're dumb for making this film. I think they're going to feel dumb when it's done and they look at it. But the celebrities they would be stupid to want to get in on this sort of a thing because it could potentially really hurt their careers. And so we didn't spend a lot of time with it. We reached out to folks. We have people still reaching out to folks, but we're not getting much of a response. And it makes sense to me. I'm not mad about it. But they're not trying to save the industry. They're just trying to save their own life, and it looks like they've successfully done that in some ways, by quitting smoking. But they're not trying to lead a revolution, or they would be. You guys would see them on your show right now. You wouldn't have me. You'd have someone more famous. So.
No, I don't know. I don't know about that. Again, like I said, I think the potential for this movie to awaken a lot of people and get the general public to understand. Wait a minute. This isn't formaldehyde. This isn't. Secondhand vapor is going to kill you just quicker than cigarettes are. I again told you I worked in the medical field and I worked in an emergency room, and I literally had a physician tell a patient, "Those are worse for you than cigarettes. They'll kill you a lot faster." And after we left this patient's room, I said, "Doc, can I talk to you a minute?" And I showed him, research, and we talked, for hours about it, to the point where he actually changed his entire impression on what e-cigarettes are. So I think that this movie has the potential to be able to do that. Now, whether or not that's going to be enough to get Congress and political and pharmaceutical and all to change their views, I don't know. But I think it definitely can help with the public view.
Yeah, well, for sure. And I don't know that we'll ever change big pharma and big tobacco. They're big businesses. They do what they want to do, and rightly so. I mean, that's what businesses generally do. They don't care about public opinion unless it affects sales. But I definitely think that there is hope here, and I do believe that the government will listen. But the bottom line is, vapors got to vote. Vapors got to, they got to vote, and they need to start voting about the most important issue in their life, which is their life, and not be voting about things that their parents and grandparents told them to vote about. They need to be voting about things that really affect them, and right now they're not. And so until vapors get united, I don't see there being any hope, because it's not really a very unified movement in the political world. And so I do believe there's hope, though. I mean, like I said, I met with a bunch of congressmen and senators, and some of them have indeed decided to support vaping and are going to be working on that in the coming year. So there is hope, but not for the big businesses.
Okay, Wendy, why don't you go ahead and ask that question?
Well, it keeps scrolling up. I'm going to try and catch it, but I'm going to have to keep scrolling up to catch
All right.
it.
So many good questions. I just looked at this. This is crazy.
Somebody, oh yeah, here it comes again. Ivana is asking it. Did you have a chance to talk with any smokers who are still smokers that echoed to you what non-vaping smokers see when they see vapors vaping? Like, what's a smoker's point of view on vapors?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the smokers, and I have, yes, indeed, talked to smokers who have not, they didn't want to quit, or a lot of smokers, believe it or not, have tried vaping. Maybe they tried, one of those gas station e-cigarettes or something like that, and they didn't like it. And so they quit that, and they just kept smoking. Others were doing maybe other things, maybe more advanced devices, but then they saw the news and they got scared and they went back to smoking. I think so something like 70% of smokers want to quit. So 30% of smokers probably think vaping is stupid, because why not do the real thing? They don't want to quit. Why would anybody quit? And of course, everybody likes to feel validated in their own decisions. So, if you decide that you want to be a smoker and you don't want to ever quit, well, of course, you'd love to have a lot of friends that are with you. So, vaping to them is kind of silly and stupid. And other folks, like I said, have tried it. They're scared of it. They think that there's a lot of, the news, and they don't want to. They've heard from their doctor or whatever, just like Jay said, that maybe it kills you faster. There's a variety, just like there's a variety of opinions from the public, there's a variety of opinions with the smokers. And a lot of the smokers have tried it and would like it to work and may at some point try it again, but I think they're uncertain, and they're still kind of waiting to see what the research shows.
Jay, do you know who this Dr. Konstantinos Farsalinos
Yeah, did you get to speak with Dr.
Yeah.
Farsalinos?
Absolutely. Yep. We interviewed him. He'll be in the film. So,
Awesome.
Yep. Very nice guy. Very smart.
And somebody asked if you have any idea how any of the 2016 presidential candidates feel about vaping.
No, they're not going to get into that yet.
Yeah.
They probably will never get into it because, again, remember, guys, the public doesn't like vaping. Why would anybody who wants to be political ever want to support vaping? They're not going to do it.
Have you tried vaping just to see what it's like?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, hard to make a film without trying it, and certainly, yeah, I've tried it, and I've smoked hookahs, cigars. I've done all of that sort of stuff in social settings, and I've certainly tried vaping in a social setting as well, and I can definitely confirm that I am not addicted from vaping. Some of those times, and it definitely was like the social side of like hookah without the smoke. So I thought it was actually quite fun, but no, I am not addicted or anything like that. So everyone out there who wants to try it, I don't think it's really that scary of a thing to try. So
Someone was asking, I know you haven't decided the exact date or possibly
Right.
even location of the premiere. Someone was asking if your target demographic was younger, older, somewhere in between, colleges. Where are you going to try and get the exposure?
well, I think that the target, if I had to guess, would probably be somewhere from 30 to 50. The middle of the way. I mean, those are the folks that are struggling the most with smoking. Those are the folks that are mature enough to do their research before they start judging people. In many cases, they're a little bit more mature. They're more educated. Grabbing kids in high school and college who just want to shoot off their mouth, like, they'll enjoy the film too. But honestly, we have a real intelligent discussion in our film. We have some of the smartest people in the world, from some of the highest medical organizations in the world. Like, this is really going to be very conclusive evidence and very conclusive information. But we didn't try to make it, specifically for younger people. I don't know what specifically they would want to see, but it wouldn't be what we're doing probably. I mean, like, if I was only making it for young people, we would probably have to have a lot more. I don't know. We'd have to have. I don't want to go there because I could come up with all kinds of jokes. But this would be on the line like a Food Inc. or some of those documentaries that just kind of look at things, and of course young people will like it, but not all of them, and it wasn't made for them specifically. So
Has anyone threatened you directly or indirectly for making this movie, or tried to get you to stop?
well, I wouldn't say anybody's threatened me directly, no, but of course we've seen some very interesting things and people that have been kind of shady with some things for sure, and I don't want to get into that yet, but that's for another film. But yeah, there's some big businesses that have tried to throw their weight around a little bit, and it's been difficult for sure. But I do worry about my safety. I mean, we're dealing with trillions of dollars here, and anytime you do that, there's some risk.
And that in itself, right there, I hope people that do grasp that you are going up against some major players in the game, people who are $1 trillion businesses. There's no way that you can't be worried about your safety, and the fact that you're willing to put yourself in harm's way, so to speak, to get this out, I think speaks volumes for what your character is. We as a vaping community, are in dire need of something like this. We do have the vaping advocacy realms, such as CASA and SAFADA, Vaping Militia, a few other ones. What is your take on the vaping advocacy realm? Do you see us doing enough? Do you see us moving in the right directions? Is there something you think that we should be doing that we're not?
Well, I've definitely, been a part of a lot of those discussions, and I've been invited and honored to be a part of those things. I don't think I've earned it yet. I mean, there's some folks that have been working on this for many, many years, and To answer your question, honestly, yeah, I think that it's great to see, but these groups are drastically underfunded, and they're bringing knives to the gunfight, and it's not their fault. I don't by any means blame any of these guys. They're doing the best. They're volunteering their own time. A lot of them, they're doing things that are just. I mean, it's like the Mother Teresa of vaping. Some of these folks, they're just giving everything they have to it. But I mean, when you're dealing with multi-billion-dollar companies that have they have every tool at their lobbyists and public relations people and publicists, and they have commercials, and they have, look at the stuff that California was putting out. Those are really high-level commercials that are very, very effective at making people afraid. And then what do we put? What do the vapors do in return to that commercial that California Public Health was putting out?
Oh,
put up some billboards here and there. No, this is going nowhere. It's not doing anything. It's underfunded. It's underpowered. It's undermanned. And again, nothing against the vaping advocacy guys. These are good folks that are doing a lot of work, but you cannot expect them to be able to compete, and they're not competing. It's a disaster right now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's sad to say.
I get that.
I don't have joy saying that. But.
I understand what you're saying, and I hope nobody takes offense to that. I get where you're coming from. You're expecting these groups that are raising thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars maybe to be able to fight organizations that, like you said, are trillion-dollar organizations, and it's honestly, it's like throwing a cup of water on a fire. It's
not happening.
And so I get that. I do totally understand it. I think, and I've said this a lot, and I've been very vocal about this. I think one of our biggest, where we lack the most, is the fact that we don't have that massive media public front, and it's getting better. Organizations are getting better. I left out a very, very great one, Not Blowing Smoke. They're getting better with making commercials and things like that. But it's still, now you got a garden hose on a wider fire, on a fire. It's a slow process. There's no easy answer to it when you're fighting these trillion-dollar organizations. There really isn't.
Right, and I do believe, though, at the end of the day, that they can be beat. I don't want to sound like a defeatist person. Of course, remember, the truth will always usually, I shouldn't say always, but usually will win, no matter how big the opposition is. And I think that I'm hoping that our work can help with that, because a film is hard to keep quiet. They can marginalize, some of the vaping advocacy groups by saying they're just crazy vapors or whatever, but they're going to have a real hard time. They have a real hard time trying to minimize their film, and it's going to be in the public, and it's not going to be quieted very easily. So, there is hope, and if people rally behind it and take the message and carry it, I think it's going to go a long way. But people ultimately have to get more involved as individuals as well.
Real good friend of mine, Gypsy, just actually said something in here that I think rings so true. And basically what she said is the exposure that you're bringing to this industry, whether it be received negatively or positively, excuse me, I just lost my place. Let me paste this here where I can read it, because it keeps scrolling.
It's okay. It's tough.
Yeah.
Lots of good thoughts coming through, though. I love it.
Whether it be received negatively or positively in the industry, they need to learn from and stand up and support it. This motion could be what it takes to break the glass ceiling and make a difference. 1 billion lives are at stake, and exactly that. Like I said, I can't echo it enough that I think that this movie has that potential. For you as a filmmaker. Filmmakers want to make an impact. They want to have that one movie that people remember, that they're known for. That makes an impact. Whether it makes them laugh, whether it's thought provoking or whatever. So for you to be sitting there on the cusp of the release of this, knowing the potential that this could have, has just got to be an amazing feeling. Yeah,
it's a scary feeling, because I don't want to let anybody down, but I feel like this is gonna do it. It's gonna be the right thing, I think. But you just never know. And I know so many people are putting their heart into it. So I think the teaser when we put it out on our Facebook page is I think almost 10,000 shares. I mean, 10,000 people decided that they wanted the world to know about what we were doing, and that's a lot of people. I mean, that's a lot of people, and if we work together like that, I mean, it's going to make a difference, no doubt. And I'm excited about that. You know, it's just I'm a little nervous. You know, it's important. A lot of people's lives are indeed on the line, and that weight is on my shoulders.
Well, that's been a question actually. A lot of people are asking in the room, how can they help promote this? What do you want them to do?
Right. Well, I mean, the biggest thing that we've asked from day one, and you guys have really been really good about it, is we need help on social media. You know, when we make announcements, we don't have the money. You know, I wish we did. I wish we had the money to take out TV ads and whatnot, but we need help spreading the word. And when we make announcements, you know, we need shares. We need to show, because right now we're pitching all kinds of people on this movie saying, hey, do you want to premiere this film at your big thing, or do you want to do this? And people they're going to our pages right now and are evaluating whether they think there's enough, you know. And I think there's enough. In some cases, they have decided that we don't have enough, and so we need folks to get behind it and get on board. You know, as simple as clicking like on our Facebook page and following us on Twitter and signing up for our email list. I mean, we have thousands of people signed up on the email list, but you know, some folks apparently would like us to have more, and so it's hard to ask more from some of you guys. I mean, some of you guys are getting tattoos, for Pete's sake. I mean, it's like I can't ask. Some of you I can't ask any more from, but we need more. We need more of you guys, and it's hard to even ask because I know the people that are listening to this right now are probably already diehard supporters. So we just got to keep working. You know, that's why we put that teaser out. That did help, but we gotta keep working. We need to get more of an army behind us, or they're gonna keep shutting us down. I mean, not really. We won't be totally shut down, but I really wanted some big opportunities here, and some of those guys are looking for really big numbers. And so, you know, one way or the other, this thing's coming out, so I don't want anyone to be worried about that. But
yeah,
I want to make a big splash.
So somebody asked about putting up banners and stuff like that, and Gypsy, thank you. She just posted. They do have shareable graphics right on their page that you guys can go out and use for your feeds and to promote this and what have you. And I believe you can actually print up poster-sized ones off of those too, if you want to hang them in your shops or take them to your shops for them to hang in there and what have you.
Right.
The biggest
folks are doing that. Yeah, it's been awesome to see.
Do you have a YouTube channel for this?
Yeah. Yep. I believe it's just youtube.com/abillion-lives, and if you go to I guess if you just Google search that, A Billion Lives YouTube, you'll find us. Yeah.
On that note, another thing that I found really, really impressive, and goes to show you how passionate Vapors are around the world, was your teaser trailer was translated into how many different languages? That wasn't you guys.
Counting.
Yeah, no, that wasn't you guys. The Vapors around the world did that. You know.
That's right. Yeah, there was. I don't know because it keeps going up every week, but I know we're in the double digits with the number of languages that are available for people to watch it. I mean, it was just amazing to watch. I mean, French, German, Polish, I think Arabic, Japanese. I mean, people were doing. I mean, and it's a process because you got to do the translation and then you have to get other people to agree with the translation. You know, and so these guys stuck with it. And I mean, this could potentially be a worldwide movement where we can reverse these bans all over the world. I mean, in Brazil and many other countries, Australia, it's illegal to do what many people take for granted right here in the United States and in Europe. It's illegal to do that. And I had a message one time from a gentleman in Brazil. He said, my friends were just arrested. They were just arrested for they were selling e-liquid, and they got arrested for it. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so I would have loved to come down there and film that, but I was actually we couldn't get that done because that would have just been too hard. That would have been too difficult because it's not. You would have to get permits in some cases, and they're probably not going to give permits to talk bad about their government. So yeah.
Wow.
Well, I know you are a super busy guy. I'm going to give you this opportunity if you want to go or take a couple more
Nope,
questions.
I'm gonna stay here till every last question is answered. So
You could be here all night, my man.
you guys, hey, it's the least I can do. It's the
Fortunately,
least
our
I can
show
do.
ends at 10 o'clock, so at least you're off the
Okay.
hook at that time. Again, I can't thank you enough for taking some of your time to come on here and do this. And
Well, it's important. I mean, I don't know how I can ask for help if I won't give answers. It's the least I can do.
I totally agree with you. The vaping community itself, pushing this and getting behind this is a great thing. But the power of this movie is going to come from the non-vapor scene and
Right.
those folks having their opinions changed. And
Right.
as awesome as it is that I feel that you're making this movie and I'm as excited about it, I'm more excited the fact that friends that I know or smokers that I know, I can point them to this and say, look, go find out what the truth's all about,
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, we'll probably have a buy one get one free deal so that you can give one of those DVDs away or something like that.
There you go.
We're thinking about having something for your politicians to get a DVD in for Christmas.
I know a lot of folks in the room have said that they've jumped on the site and bought T-shirts and stuff. And I did see my boss was in the room.
Guys.
Yeah.
My boss was in the room and told me I had to get a T-shirt for him, or I'm out of a job. So I'm going to be heading over there and getting one myself.
Hey guys, that's funny. Thank you, though. That's great.
I used to be in a band, and we sold the band shirts, and it was always awesome going to a show and seeing people wearing our shirts. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that's like on a global front.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy. Unfortunately, it costs so much money to ship to Europe. We're gonna have to figure something out because about half of the shirts have been sold outside of the United States.
Wow.
So
Let me ask you a question. One of the folks in the room, Smokey, he's a longtime vapor, very well respected in the community. He I know was around back with the crowdfunding things that went on. And I'm not sure if he wasn't in here earlier when you addressed this, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask his question again, so he can hear it. And now I got to find it because everything is scrolling so fast. Who else is running this with you, and who are your big donating supporters? Can you just address that one more time? Because I don't think that point can be hammered home enough with this.
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer that. Yeah, this film is being produced by Attention Air Media, which is a company that makes films and commercials and other brand type films. So we're not taking outside support from any organizations whatsoever, and we certainly haven't done any sort of crowdfunding. So the film is being made by a team of about 10 people that work for the company, and we're pretty much the only ones who have any say. We are definitely, I literally am the only one who has any say of what the film will look like. So nobody has bought their way into any sort of control. There's no outside money from any organizations coming in, and no crowdfunding. So I hope that clears it up, because it's a pretty simple equation on our end, which is really nice. The only thing, obviously, that I mentioned earlier is that we probably can't give the film away for free. That's probably the only downside to that. But yeah. So that's the scoop. Yeah, nothing too tricky there.
And again, I don't think it can be stressed enough that the fact that again just leads credence to the fact that there is this air of impartiality with this, that you're not looking to make vaping look better or smoking look better or pharmaceutical look better. You are an honest documentarian that comes in and wants to get down to the facts.
Right.
And by taking funding from vapors, that leaves the question of, well, is he gearing this towards the vaping? If he took funding from tobacco, we already see where that goes. So yeah, it just...
Yeah, well, and they wouldn't like the film. They're not going to like the film very much. So yeah. But anyway, that's a good question, and I'm happy to answer it. I think I've answered that question probably 500 times, but it's worth it because I know a lot of people are wondering about it. So.
Jay, did you see Jackster's question?
I saw Jackster's question. Wow, that's out of nowhere. Okay, so I'll ask it. Do you feel those against vaping could be lying to use because they want to control the population of the earth? If people continue to die due to tobacco use, the earth doesn't become crowded with 1 billion more lives every century.
Right. Well, Just personally, I don't think that's the case, only because the amount of people that are coming on the earth is so much faster than smoking, and that sort of a conspiracy would probably come out pretty quick because we have the internet. But I think primarily there's money involved, and there's ignorance involved, and there's pride involved. Those are really the only issues in my mind. And certainly, it doesn't hurt to have people dying from cigarettes, but I mean, for those folks, if there are people like that, but unfortunately, it wouldn't be a very good solution because there's just too many people coming. I think it's like a billion new people every, I don't know what, 5-10 years, something like that. So we have a lot of people on the earth in 50 years.
Somebody suggested a billion vapor march to coincide with the release of the movie.
I think that would actually be something that we could do. The problem is we just don't have the numbers right now. If I tried to start a march and I said to everyone that was talking to us, like, let's go have a big march. I think we have about 25,000 people supporting our film right now. And most of those people don't live anywhere near Washington, D.C., would probably not be willing to travel. I would assume we would have a pretty small group, and so we need bigger numbers. When you see our Facebook page hit 100,000 people, then we'll probably start talking about something like that, but right now we're just too small. Yeah. I want to do it, though, but we're just too small.
Our viewers have some awesome, amazing quotes. We honestly have the best viewers, man. And
I can see that. Very active folks. This is great.
And it flew by, but basically the gist of the question somebody had asked is one of the big things that gets talked a lot about in the vaping community in the realm of advocacy is 1% of the population seems to be doing 99.9% of the work. So what are your thoughts on just vapors in general who just take a lax approach of, somebody else, it'll be fine, somebody else will do it. What's your opinion on that?
Well, it's a problem that humans have had throughout all of history. It's the free rider problem, and folks that do that. I think it's a shame. I think some people don't even know they're doing it, but I think some people do know they're doing it. And at the end of the day, like I've said, I think that people are going to have a really rude awakening, and I don't know if it'll be too late, but it's a shame. It's terrible. I mean, you folks that are all here pretty much are that 1%, and you're doing all the lifting right now, and it's a shame. I watch what you guys are doing, and I think this is it's a crying shame.
Rage is one of the channel owners here,
Okay.
And he had just posted, I wanted to let you know here, that the Billion Lives graphic, website, YouTube info are all now located on our View Live channel page. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Rage. Appreciate it, man.
So when folks come in, they'll be able to see those links and be able to directly go to that.
That's awesome.
And on that note, before I forget to even say this, we have some of the best hosts on Vapors TV in general right here on this channel. I want to thank those that helped promote this show tonight. We have another one of our hosts that's on another channel that she's simulcasting this show tonight.
Wow, awesome.
Thank you, Higgy, for doing that. Thanks to all our viewers that helped promote this show and get as many folks in here tonight as we could. This is such an important thing. I'm a firm believer that vaping saved my life. We didn't get to talk a lot about my history, but I've had 2 heart attacks. I got diagnosed with late type 1 or late onset type 1 diabetes. I was, before the age of 42, I had 2 heart attacks. I'd reached the point that, if I did not, I was a 2.5 pack a day, 30-year smoker. If I didn't quit, I wouldn't be here today. I firmly believe that. And it's when I see, it's not just me, it's vapors in general. When we see these things that come out with formaldehyde and all the things that actually led you to doing this documentary, when we see those things, we get so frustrated by it. And you pointed out yourself, if vapors have become the best researchers in the world, man.
Right.
Because they want to promote this product. They want to prove you wrong. They want to prove that your research is lacking this, or you didn't include that, or whatever. I'm firmly convinced that we could outdo any CSI episode right here on Vapors TV.
I believe it. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
So, in that regard, how much did Vapors help you with your research?
Right. Well, I would say quite a bit. We frequently were asking on Twitter and Facebook for information if people knew of anybody, because what we were trying to do is something that typically takes about 3 years to do, and we were trying to do it in about a year. And it wasn't possible without the help we were getting. So we were getting a lot of help from folks, and even tracking down Han Lick, the folks at the Global Forum for Nicotine, even though they're not vapors specifically, have certainly been a safe place to discuss that. And those folks were the folks that helped us track down Han Lick, and a lot of folks have really been very, 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 very helpful. There's been a ton of them. Whether it's the inviting us to their conferences to meet people and learn from people, or inviting us to interview some of the biggest names in the world in this research. We couldn't have made this film without folks that were behind it 100%. So yeah, this film is definitely a community effort. There's no doubt about it.
Now, you, with the amount of research that you had to do, and the amount of traveling you had to do, and the amount of filming you had to do, how big is your crew?
Like I said, about 10 people are working on the film right now. I think the biggest crew that we've ever brought anywhere was about 5 people. So it depends where we were going and what we were doing. Obviously, we have budget issues, but in some cases had a bigger crew. But yeah. Not very big. Not very big. That's not very big.
No, actually not. I'm surprised. Actually, I would have expected it to be a lot bigger. Now, for all the overseas traveling and all that, did you make all those trips?
I did. Yeah, I did go all the trips overseas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
Jay, there's like 6 questions all in the window right now if nobody types.
Go ahead. Ask away.
One of them is about what kind of distribution you anticipate for the film upon release.
Yeah, that's a great question. We're still working on that. That's going to depend on how many fans that we have, to be honest. But we'd like it to be a really wide distribution across the entire world and in all major markets. But that really depends on whether or not the people with $1 billion in the film industry think that there's enough interest in the film. So yeah, that'll depend.
Okay.
I know you said you talked to several doctors. Did you talk to anybody at the American Heart Association in particular, and do you have any comments about that?
No, we did reach out, and we've got information from them, and they'll be included in the film, but we weren't able to interview any of them. But they're pretty clear. They're pretty clear on where they stand, though. So.
Do you think that you changed the minds of any anti-vaping researchers throughout this effort?
Well, not yet, because most of the anti-vaping people didn't want to talk to us. So no, I don't think we did. Not yet.
Gypsy is asking if you filled out the paperwork to get your documentary on iTunes.
Yeah, we'll be on iTunes for sure.
Okay.
Now, I know the invitation went out to Stanley Glantz. Did you actually sit down with him yet, or?
Nope, he didn't. He didn't set a time. He won't. He hasn't been very helpful in setting a time yet. So.
Okay, so.
Just trying to. I think he's running out the clock. I'm not sure what he's doing, but.
Somebody asked you, do you see any areas or states or countries, for that matter, that might put a ban on your film being shown?
China, probably, for sure. There's been some discussion about Germany and some of the European countries, depending on how they interpret their new rules over there. Other people think that's ludicrous and that won't happen. So I don't know for sure. Europe's a pretty fair country when it comes to free speech, unless it's about certain topics that we're certainly not talking about, like hate crimes and hate speech. We aren't doing any of that. So I don't personally believe that we'll be banned anywhere, but I'm pretty sure we won't be in China.
Did you have to pay any appearance fees to anybody?
No.
Okay, good.
No, we didn't have to pay anybody for that. thankfully. But I don't know that we would anyway. We don't have the budget to do that. So.
Okay. Let's see. What did the Incans think of vaping?
Yeah, they were really nice folks, and they think that they don't know what vaping is really down there. They don't really have vaping, so they just talked about tobacco and its history with us. I mean, we wanted to go all the way back from the beginning of tobacco history all the way through now and examine why are we in this situation and what can we do about it. And so they were a part of it, but they weren't really a part of the vaping side of it much.
Was there a favorite person that you interviewed?
There's a lot. There was a couple that are just off the chains. Very interesting. We did post a picture of a whistleblower that we blurred out his face. He's a character. Yeah, you guys are gonna enjoy that interview. It's gonna be fun.
Vapor ML. I'm not sure who that is, but he said, Aaron, did you get a chance to interview the former ALA president? I know you and I talked about that.
Yeah, I reached out to him actually, believe it or not, and did talk to him about the interview, and he declined and did not understand why that would be a good idea to be in the film. I said, you get a chance to save face. He said, what do I need to save face about? And I guess he'll find out when he sees the film.
All right.
So yes, I did.
So let's see. We're going to take a couple more questions here. Why Wendy gathers a couple questions. Let's talk a little bit of sports. I know you said that you're a big Green Bay fan, and unfortunately, they were that close, brother. That close.
That was close. That was pretty close. It's funny. The Larry Fitzgerald, the guy that caught that long pass to basically beat the Packers. True story. Back in grade school, I played basketball against him.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And I played college football as well. So I didn't play football against him, but his dad did speak at my high school football banquet as well, and I believe he was there as well. So a little bit of history, but he did kind of hurt me a little bit. But I still love you, Larry. You're a good dude. He's a great guy. Yeah, he's a great guy.
What's your prediction going forward here? Who you say it's going to be?
Probably, I don't know. I gotta wonder about Carolina. They just blow out everyone. I mean, they're just, except for that one loss. I mean, it's gonna probably be Carolina.
They're gonna be tough.
Yeah. I had Cam Newton for my fantasy football last year. He's pretty good. I wish I'd have him this year.
We don't want to go with the fantasy football thing. Like I told you, we do a lot of contests with the show, and we had a couple of fantasy leagues, and I did fare so well this year. So, it is.
I didn't play fantasy football this year. I chose to focus on the film.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little bit busy for that. I'm surprised you were actually able to keep up with any of the season at all. To be honest,
I wasn't much, to be honest. I'm a little bit behind, but I did catch. I've been watching lately just because it's the end here. But
somebody asked, is Greg Gutfeld in the film?
No, he's not. He just did not respond ever, and he's not in the film. So.
Wow, I'm surprised to hear that.
He's I don't know, because the vaping thing isn't a bother to him. He obviously talks about it frequently, but I honestly don't know what his problem is, because I see people almost daily tweeting at him saying, hey, you should reach out, and I've reached out to him, and I got no response. So, I mean, it's tough. We don't have time to beg everybody to be in this film. It's an important project, and we have a lot of amazing people in the film, so we don't need Greg in the film. It's still going to be amazing, so I'm not worried about it.
Okay. Scuba, another one of our hosts on here, actually had a really good question, and I don't think he's talking about the trailer per se, but okay. any thoughts of doing like a 30-second commercial, for lack of a better word, to play in theaters before movies start to explain about e-cigarettes and a billion lives and all the lives behind everything, and just a pro vaping type thing?
Well, we would be definitely interested in doing that. I think right now it comes down to getting enough money, in the budget for marketing to do that, because that would probably cost a lot of money. I mean, not probably, that would definitely cost a lot of money. We think that it's possible stuff like that could happen. but we would need the right distribution partnership, and that would require that we have a lot more folks following the film. So we got work to do on our end. We gotta build up our fan base. So, but yeah, it could happen. I mean, certainly we could see trailers for this movie coming out before other movies.
Okay.
Jay, did you see that question about YouTube?
I did not. Why don't you ask it?
Since you can create paid content on YouTube to rent or purchase, will the film be on YouTube?
Well, I think that we're definitely interested in having it on solutions like that, that anybody in the world can have access to for a small fee. I don't know if YouTube will be the one, only because I'm not sure how safe YouTube is for content creators, for people to steal the film and bootleg it or whatever. But we are going to have it in something like that. So yes, rest assured, everybody that is in a country that values free speech will be able to have a chance to see the film for a small amount of money.
Somebody asked if Morgan Freeman can narrate.
Well, he won't narrate it. I would love to have him narrate the film. I think it'd be amazing, but yeah, he'd be too expensive, and he's not going to be narrating it. Yeah, maybe the next one, right? We'll see.
Another one of our hosts, Rhino, says maybe you should farm out the making of like the mini commercials to some of the vapors. They're very skilled with video editing.
And would do it for nothing.
And would do it for nothing.
It's not a problem to make. It's not a problem to make the videos. We could do that, no problem. In fact, we have other versions that we could put out, but it's the buying of the time and buying of the ad space that would be the issue. So we'd be happy to farm out the buying if anybody's interested, but yeah, the production part of it is, I think we would be able to do that. But that's a very nice offer, and maybe we would at some point need to take some folks up on that. But first we'd have to have a place to put the ad. So.
Somebody, I know the shirts are available on the website. Somebody just asked, how about the beanies?
This one, yeah. Well, we have all kinds of A Billion Lives gear that we've been wearing all year, but we just weren't really sure if people wanted this stuff. I mean, we were really surprised when people wanted the T-shirts, and that's partly why it's such a weird way we're going about it, just because we're not T-shirt people, we're just filmmakers. So, I think if people want these things, I mean, I'm sure we could find a way to sell them. It's just I don't know if people want them or not. So I guess let us know if you want them, and we'll find a way to get involved. So give people that option if they want it.
A lot of people saying yes.
I know a lot of
including
people
me.
Want one. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, stay tuned then. We will put them. This will be available.
Yes. Vapors very much like their swag, as people put in there. So coffee mugs, T-shirts, stickers, any of that stuff. So.
Okay. Well, we are working on possibly having some free vape bands that would go out in any orders that people make. So
there you go.
Yeah, we'll have some other free swag for people.
So, all right. So we got 20 minutes left on the show. Let's take a few more questions here. Everybody stick around after the show. Swirling Out's coming up with Scope and Mad Cat and Fokker. So we'll finish this up with taking some last questions.
And you guys have been great. I just glanced over at this. You guys are just amazing. This is crazy.
Chat is moving.
I can't even read that fast. I don't know where you guys thought that I could read that fast, but that's amazing.
Well, there's a lot of people definitely thanking you for coming on and taking the time, and we echo that sentiment. There's definitely a lot of support in there.
One thing. I just saw this Rhino person on there. We are going to have a premiere, and we certainly will be making a big splash. So don't worry about that. We are going to be having some very large events, and you guys will all be invited. So do not worry about that whatsoever. This is going to be big. Do not worry about that.
And it's going to be huge. I must have missed something there with you, Rhino. I'm not sure about the social media marketing, but I know we did touch on that earlier.
We're doing a lot with social media, and that's not going anywhere.
I think he was talking more about what we could do with the social media marketing.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
A vape-friendly premiere, if somebody wants to know.
Yeah, well, some of the vapors out there been talking to their local drive-ins to have a big event that they could vape, while they watch the movie. One of the reasons why a lot of the public is confused about vaping and doesn't like it is because of folks that have been vaping, like maybe in movie theaters, and have, disrupted their experience. And so I think that would have to be a very specific showing, but I'm not opposed to it, frankly. I've been in a lot of vaping events, and I could care less if people are vaping. I think we'd have to find the right setup, and there'd have to be the right demand for it again. And right now, we're just not seeing the numbers maybe to have a whole theater just for vapors. But maybe that would change if we get more people signing up and stuff. So.
Somebody wanted to know if they were going to see you here again.
Is
not opposed.
I know you are a super busy guy. The invitation is always there. If when it gets closer to the premiere date, you want to come back on and talk more about this, we would love to have you back on again,
absolutely.
brother. If you want to,
let's keep in touch. I mean, this has been a great
most
time.
Definitely, man.
I'm not going anywhere, and you guys aren't going anywhere. So yeah, let's keep talking for sure. Yeah,
definitely.
I can tell you now, I'm willing to do it. So. For sure.
Cool.
Good deal. You heard that? He's locked in exclusively to our channel, our show. So no, I'm just kidding.
I'm not opposed. I mean, in many ways, yeah, I've been really eager. Obviously, Jay, I'm not always the easiest guy to get a hold of, but I like doing this and I want to do it. So yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I honestly, I think. Anytime you get the opportunity to come on here to be able to talk on any of the shows, any of the channels, I think is nothing but a positive. And
right.
I appreciate the fact that we were able to bring you here tonight for our viewers and all that. So we got 20 minutes. Couple last questions. Why Wendy's going over some of the questions there. So your overall views and thoughts. What is your ultimate hope for this movie?
Well, I mean, geez, that's tough. I've had some really crazy thoughts, about getting Oscar nominations, and I've had some really low feeling thoughts about no one cares about it. Like I've gone through all the range of emotions, not lately specifically, I don't mean it like that, but early on or whatnot, and I don't know. I'm just excited for it to get out there and for the world to decide what they think about it, and ultimately I'd really like to help people with their fight. People are fighting for the truth all over the world, and they're fighting for their lives and the lives of their families, and my hope would be that this film gives them ammunition, and that in some ways this is a war that's going on between the liars and the truth, and our hope is kind of that we can be the Manhattan Project and have this project that's been building for the last year that, we've got this bomb that can maybe end the war, and I'm hoping, that doesn't offend anybody. Obviously that was a pretty serious thing in World War II, but this is a serious war, and I think it needs to be ended, and I think that it'd be great if we could end it. And so we're going to make the bomb, but we just need the people to help drop the bomb, so we don't have an Air Force, so we need all of you guys and your help. So that's kind of my hope, is that we could change some minds, give people a tool, and that we can all do it together.
Actually, I saw somebody said that they had actually canceled their show so they'd come over here tonight to watch this.
Wow.
But that shows how important a topic this is to us. And
this is big.
You are like a, pardon the analogy here, but you're like a mama bird feeding all us little chicks. We need.
Vice versa. I feel like you guys are helping feed us as well with your enthusiasm. I tell you, it's meant a lot over the last year to have support. You guys have no idea how every time you hit share, every time you hit retweet, we've been encouraged by that, and we talk about it, like, oh my gosh, did you see how many things, like, oh my gosh, like we talk about you guys. So it goes both ways. I feel the same way about you guys.
Well, it's, again, vapors are very passionate. I know do you have any idea the amount of personal stories you guys received when you asked for them?
Not very many. I got to be honest about that.
Really?
Wow.
It was not very many. Yeah, maybe 15.
That's it?
I'm shocked. Well, that was pretty early on into you guys doing this, was it not?
Well, it was in the middle somewhat. I mean, I think people are afraid to get on camera. A lot of people said they were going to do it and then didn't. And I get it. It's a scary thing to be on a 100-foot screen in front of 1,000 people, and I don't know. Ultimately, I think you guys had a lot of stories that would have been really great for the world to see, and we didn't get them. So that is a disappointment.
I think a little bit of what played into that, again, goes back to the history with the whole crowdfunding projects that were in the past.
Sure.
A lot. Not too many of the newer vapors are aware of the story with that, but a lot of the vapors that have been around for a while, were really gun shy, which is why how many times it was asked in here, how's this being funded? Where I think a lot of people were a little gun shy about it because of that too. So
Right.
I think now.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm not mad at it, but it's too bad.
It's a little late now, but I think now that a lot more about A Billion Lives has been put out there, and you doing interviews such as this one and on other avenues, I think people now are getting a lot better a grasp that this is a totally different thing. And I think if you were to put that call out now, I totally believe you would be inundated with stories from folks.
Well, we are thinking about, as one of the final touches to the film, getting a lot of faces and filming a lot of faces, and getting and really involving more people's lives in the thing through visual means. So we've had thoughts about maybe having one giant extras call here, either near Chicago or Milwaukee, and see what kind of folks we can get to come over to the studio and let us film them. But yeah, I mean, based on that other thing, I don't know. We just weren't sure if people really want to be in the film. So I don't know. We've had a lot of thoughts on that, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly not because I know people don't care. You guys have given almost everything you have on social media to us, including tattooing yourselves. I mean, it's not that. I get it. It's something else. So yeah.
Now, a lot of folks have asked if this is going to replay. With your permission, I would like to post this out so folks that didn't make it tonight can get a chance to view this and people can share.
Yeah, for sure.
So so we will definitely put it up on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook page and on the VU Live Facebook page, and you guys are free to share it and give it to folks and have everybody check it out. So
awesome.
So we got 10 minutes, and
I have some questions.
You have some questions? Okay.
Well, yeah, they're just whizzing past, so I'm just trying to jump.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with this. Is awesome though.
Somebody asked, who can they contact to rally up investments in your marketing to get the push? Is there anything they can do? Anybody they can reach out to?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, probably the biggest people that we need help with right now is we need if you have a big film festival in your area, that might be a good place for us to go and get the press involved and get the film community involved. We are interested in that. We can't go to every single one, but honestly, it doesn't seem like a lot of the film festivals are probably going to be that interested in it, just because it's a topic that I think a lot of people are against, which is sad because we're really focused on the truth. But in some cases, some topics aren't as fun as others. So I don't know. If you could reach out to film festivals, your local film critics at your newspaper. Film critics are big for us. And then if you have local theaters, like independent theaters that might be interested in showing documentaries, we'd love to have you contact them, because ultimately a lot of these people aren't going to be interested unless they discover us. If we go to them trying to sell this, ultimately it looks like we don't have a lot of strength because they didn't find us first. So we do need help. We do need help on those three things. And once we do finally get the premieres and all of those different events scheduled, we need you to come out. We actually need you to come. If we have a premiere and half the theater's empty, we aren't going to be in many theaters. I guarantee you that. It's just not going to happen. It's just not how this works. So we need people to actually do more than just talk. They got to come and do it, and so and I know a lot of them will. I got people telling me they'll fly wherever in the world, and that would be awesome. But those are kind of the main ways that people can help right now. as well as spread the word. But I'm guessing most of you guys have already shared the teaser and whatnot. So.
Is there any specific language that they should utilize when they reach out to things like newspapers or the press?
Yeah, well, I think one of the easiest ways would probably be to share one of our videos with them. The announcement video was pretty clear cut in what we're trying to do. The teaser was a little bit more sensational for sure. We wanted people to have a tool to use now to help fight the battle. And so we made that teaser that's we're being lied to because we thought that would be helpful. That one might be a little bit right, but the announcement video for sure is a little bit more just clear cut in what we're all trying to do. But if somebody has a contact, for sure, just reach out. My email is Aaron Aaron at attentionera.com, and we're eager. I mean. Sometimes we've been overwhelmed with communication, and I do apologize sometimes for the slower responses, but we need your help. So, I mean, we're not trying to ignore anybody, and we need help. So, yeah, I would definitely be interested in hearing from you guys.
A lot of people are asking, who do they contact? Who is the contact for permissions and to get in touch with the independent theaters? Would that also be you as well?
Well, we have a team working on it, but I've been really actively pushing this, with my own time and my own spirit on this. So I would be happy to be the contact person for this. So yeah, people have, and that email that I saw someone just post for sure. Yeah. Reach out to me. No, that's great. I love it. And when I send out, I send out those messages when you sign up on abillionlives.com, those emails, and people write back, and I write back to them. I mean. This is not a one-way streak here. We're all doing this together.
Is there any written description of the film that people could post or send to venues, papers, etc.?
There are some. I'm trying to think off the top of my head where they could find them. We'll probably post something then on our website if we don't have something. But I'm pretty sure that I don't know. We haven't gotten quite into that mode of full. We've been sending out a lot of those ourselves privately. But I think we're to the point where it's time to start getting more people involved. So, yeah, we'll probably post something fairly soon on that. So, this is a really good question.
Mrs. Deli just said, you just got 1 billion stalkers.
I'm okay with that.
So, going into this movie, you said that you made this movie because you had found out that things that you were telling your friends about, formaldehyde and all that were wrong. What has been the biggest thing that you've seen the media portray that you found was just a complete twist of law or twist of facts, fabrication, whatever you want to call it? What do you think has been the biggest one that you've seen?
Well, I'm having a hard time deciding who wins between the formaldehyde thing or the popcorn lung thing. They're both kind of outrageous. If you look at smoking compared to vaping of any sort of vaping, vaping is just ridiculously huge amounts more safe than smoking, and yet they try to make all these little things like, oh, so you shifted from 99% less harmful to 98%, and you're going to try to make it look like it's worse than smoking? Not okay. So yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I think they've both been really harmful. Yeah, I'm not sure which one's worse though. They've both been bad.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ed Wolf, diacetyl. Did that come up in your discussions?
Well, that particular thing with that popcorn lung is a fairly new thing. We do talk about some of that stuff. The film, we already had it. It was already like 3 hours at one point. We had to cut it down. We're really focusing on the big issues with it. And so we don't go into it in depth, I'll be honest about that, just because we go into a lot of other stuff. And in some ways, we're really not trying to fight little fires. We're trying to fight the big one, and that's we're trying to be more of a proactive. It's more of a taking it to them rather than reacting to that stuff. The diacetyl thing is just overall it's just a very stupid, overblown topic, and I don't even know that we want to drag our film into that. So we don't really drag ourselves into it.
There were a bunch of people talking about when this comes
there were a bunch of people talking about when this comes to DVD about the stuff that doesn't make it to film being
Right. Yeah. Again, that'll depend on how much interest there is. There's no way we're going to make a whole nother DVD of special stuff if there's not a big interest. Right now, it seems like lots of interest. You guys certainly are interested, but we need tens of thousands of people, and I think that might happen. So yeah, I think it's very possible. Plus, again, like I mentioned earlier in the show, we're looking at another film, so a second film, and certainly we'll be going into some of that stuff as well. Yeah.
So we have just got a few moments left here before we have to jump off. I know there's a lot of questions that got asked that we didn't get to address, and I apologize to those folks that didn't get their questions
It's okay.
addressed.
That's why I wanted to stay here. Yeah, I wanted to stay.
If you guys have any questions that you really want the answers to, by all means, hit Wendy and I up, and we can pass this off to Aaron, or Aaron, as Aaron gave his email address there earlier, you guys can go directly to him as well. I think the biggest thing right now is getting out there and sharing what A Billion Lives is about, and keeping up to date by signing up on their website for anything that's coming up. Blow up social media, exactly, just like Rhino said.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we will post this video up. And you're welcome to access it, to show it to whoever you need to show it to pass it on. Aaron, again, brother, I thank you so much for not just coming on here tonight, but to dedicating these however many months now that you have put into making this movie just to get the truth out there. Not being a smoker or a vapor, I'm blown away that you took this much of a vested interest into this, man, and I can't thank you enough.
Hey, well, thank you guys. I look at all these hundreds and hundreds of comments scrolling past, and all the generous words that you guys have all said, and it means a lot. It's encouraging. This is getting tiring. I mean, I'm certainly tired right now. I'm not going to lie. The good news is I'm tired from getting the work done. The work is nearly done. So it's good, but it feels good to have all that support, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. This has been a really fun, uplifting little show, and I mean, not little in that way, but this is great. This is awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so we will be back with our normal boring show next Tuesday night. Stick around. Squirreling Out's coming up.
Oh, come on now.
As always, you guys are just amazing, man. I love our viewers. I love doing this show. Wendy and I have such a good time with it. And, as always, peace, love, who dat. We will see you guys next Tuesday. Everybody say goodbye to Aaron and show him some love. And Aaron, if you'll stick around just a few moments.
Yeah, for sure.
And Squirreling Out will be on in just a few minutes. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.